Hi, everybody. I'm Nick. Thanks for having me along to SKS. So I need one of these as well. Awesome. So I'm the CEO and founder of Whisk.com. We're a food AI platform which helps businesses create connected, smarter, and more meaningful food experiences. So today, we connect 500 million users across our different integrations with partners. So we work with some of the biggest recipe publishers, grocery retailers, IoT companies, health companies, and FMCG, CPG companies. We have the privilege of working with some of the leaders in the space in the US, UK, Australia, Europe, and Asia. So today, I'm hoping to be able to share some of the learnings that we've had as a company about what we see happening in the space and what some of our customers are thinking. Hopefully, it'll be useful for some of your strategies. So I'll start with setting the scene. Food is a massive, massive space in terms of spend. It's number 3, consistently number 3. If you look at within the top categories, it's where users have the most sort of choice in where they spend their money as well. Grocery, within that, an $11 trillion market. E-commerce is growing rapidly. People are predicting it to be the next big retail sector to be disrupted. And it's a place which has a lot of meaning to people. They care a lot about it. There's loads of examples of entrepreneurs and investors who've put lots of money and effort into trying to build exciting robots to deliver AI in the kitchen. And over the last centuries or last many few years, have failed at these trying to do it. One of my favorite examples is Webvan, 1999, valued at $4.8 billion. 2001, in the dot-com bubble burst, went bust, having spent $800 million trying to launch the business. However, I think we are actually at a different point today. And there's 2 big changes. One's in technology, the other's in our whole society. So if you look at what happened when Webvan went bust, we were traditional consumers as a majority up to 2013. Between 2013 and 2019, it was mainly digital converts. People had picked up technology but hadn't grown up with it. That's when people like DoorDash, Deliveroo came along, HelloFresh, the meal kits, sort of totally changing some of the retail space. We've totally changed our expectations from what a quick, easy meal is. It's no longer the good old trusty microwave, but it's now like a couple of clicks and it arrives to your door. I think what's really exciting is what's happening in 2020 and beyond, where digital natives are the majority. And I think I'll talk a little bit about what that actually means, because they actually have very different expectations to the previous generations. Looking at digital natives, they look at food content more than any other group before them, any other generation before them. Players like Cookpad have massive user bases. Obviously, they're here today, I know. Pinterest, 30% of their traffic, more than any other sector, kind of even to the top other parts combined, are looking at food content. 1.7 billion pins on Pinterest is food content. And YouTube have a good number of users looking at food content. They also shop differently. So it's no longer a primarily female shopper going in and doing all the household chores and doing the grocery shopping. It's now a shared task between males and females and different members in the family. So we're seeing lots of shared shoppers. Personalization, everyone's talked about it. I won't talk about it anymore, apart from the only group within that pie which is not interested is the tiny, tiny purple slice, which you can hardly see. And in food, they care about different things. So they care about well-being much, much more. Almost 75% of users are concerned about the nutrition they're getting in food they're eating at home. So changing track a little bit, in hardware, the other interesting thing that's changing is there's much more value being put on software, it being a core feature of the hardware. It's no longer just having good enough metal and plastic that you kind of put them together in a well-manufactured way. The software is becoming a core component. One of my favorite case studies or examples is Sonos. I had my house kitted out with Sonos. It was the best smart speaker for anybody who's interested in that kind of listening to music from your phone. I replaced my Sonos with Alexa and Google Home about 2 years ago and absolutely love using it. And I'm not the only one. Sonos had to lay off a whole bunch of staff as a result. Under Armour, a different business altogether, not in the kitchen space, but if you're not sure what they do, but they manufacture sports goods, so shirts, sports shirts, shoes, etc. They went and purchased Map My Run, MyFitnessPal, and you'd ask why. there is some connection. The shoes do connect into my fitness, so it tracks how well you're running and what kind of tread you've got and how you should improve. But the core reason for them is about understanding their users and starting to build that relationship with their users. So there's a marketing sort of effort there as well. So looking at the kitchen, I kind of see this as in three groups. The first is around controlling appliances. So the obvious things are, I want to know it's in my fridge, so I know what to buy. I want to know so I can choose what recipes to cook. And I want to be able to turn my oven on or my hob on at the right temperatures. I've got a quick video, which I've sped up to be much, much faster than it originally was. This is from CES 2018, Samsung, who we built this demo with for. You can hold your phone, it takes a picture of the food, it recognizes the calories. You go to a sports emulation game where you burn some calories. Go to your fridge, it knows what you burnt, it knows what you scanned, gives you some recipe recommendations based on what's in the fridge. You go and you turn your oven on by tapping the button. And this all worked live via the cloud, which if you've ever been to CES, you'll know that getting Wi-Fi to work is pretty difficult. The next kind of group of things that I think comes next in the roadmap is around helping with food decisions. So obviously, if you're turning ovens on and you know what's in the fridge, you can start to help people personalize the experience or recommend what recipes they want to use. For me, the really, really important thing here is to understand that the average person, average household, cooks 7 to 9 recipes on repeat. So these are not recipes from some glorious website with beautiful pictures. These are kind of pretty basic things. And they also, it's unlikely they're going to use just your recipe app that you've built into your device or your kind of ecosystem. They want to use any recipe in the world with any retailer. So when you do this, it's about being able to parse, understand, sort of turn unstructured recipe content from all over the world in any language into one single format. And then being able to use that to create a personalized experience with health, with shopping options, with turning your digital appliances on, and also in sort of recommending other things for a user, adding value through, this is maybe the wine you should drink with this recipe, or the dessert that you should drink, or even the music that you should listen to. Once you've got that, you can start to personalize. Now, there are different things that affect personalization, and I think it's important that you don't focus on just one, and take a holistic approach into all the things that affect consumer choice. It is complex, so obviously start with the lowest hanging fruit first. The biggest bubbles on this are not the most important, it's just the ones that fitted the text that was in the bubbles. And then try and connect everything in the seamless way, so you connect any content. This is an example of our platform connecting any recipe. You can go to any recipe site and map it to all the right items in store, and then fill your basket at the retailer. So if you've done that well, you're then able to connect it across different verticals, because food also goes into health. Any device, so it connects from your watch to your car, to the screen in your car if you've got a Tesla, or to your fridge at home. And I'll come back to this topic a little bit further down the line. So why should you do this? Why should you care about any of this stuff? What's the ROI? The first part is increased value of hardware, and we've heard a lot of that today. The other area, which I think a lot of people a lot of our customers, when they first start speaking to us, are not really sure about what to do, is the service revenue. So most companies, if you speak to them and they've got a developed strategy, will start to talk about this topic. So I'm hoping I can share a little bit of information around that. High level, there are two groups in my head. There's the recipe browsing and shopping experience, which is a shopping list. And here you basically can advertise products, so CPG products and a few other things. And the other side is purchase, so taking a percentage of the grocery transaction. Now, that second group is actually pretty straightforward, because there are lots of different affiliate programs and models. Most of them are pretty easy to guess how they work, so I won't spend any time talking about that one. But the first one is a little bit more difficult. Now, this graph shows CPG spending. Massive amount of money they spend every single year. The red item with digital is pretty obvious, right? Things are becoming digital. The yellow one is traditional ads are shrinking, pretty obvious. But the area that people are not always aware of is the trade promo spend, which is the massive, massive blue chunk back in 2012. And that's basically when you walk into a store, making sure your product is right there in the center of the aisle. As that all goes to e-commerce, the other groups are going to grow. And that's the real big opportunity. It's obviously taking a part of digital spend, but it's that big, big chunk of money which is moving digital. So what can you actually do in this space? We've helped some of our publishers win their biggest ever deals through stuff like this, where you're targeting purchase intent. Someone wants to buy herbs, you're advertising a certain brand of herbs. They go to a shopping list, then you make sure they end up having that at least as the default product. It also works for non-recipes, so bold with messy recipes, or retailers with a whole bunch of products that they can advertise. If you've built that personalization model I talked about a little bit earlier on well, then you can start to look at, okay, you're looking at recipe A, maybe you want a certain wine or a beer, and you can basically charge big brewers or wine companies or retailers to place a sponsored wine or beer match. So almost into the kind of conclusions, almost there. As we grow in the Internet of Things, almost every single thing we touch is going to be connected. So you walk into your kitchen in 10 years' time. I imagine if you see a kettle or a toaster that's not connected, you'll look at it and go, I feel sorry for that poor little toaster. You're the only thing in the house that's not connected. Everything in our lives will be connected. And in that world, if you look at the user journey from discovery to eating, you will want to make sure that it's a seamless process for a user to go to every single device, because that's what they'll expect. That's what the digital native will expect. And how do you do that? The capability you need is a very granular understanding in data on recipes, on store products, and on users. So I think a key to your strategy should be making sure you really understand the data in those three areas and can apply them in innovative, smart, connected ways in all the experiences that you build. And if you do that well, then this is just a pure concept that someone put up around what the future of shopping could be. And the answer is we don't know what the future of shopping will be. But if you get that data strategy right, then you'll be ready to integrate or potentially build and own the experiences of the future in terms of grocery and recipe shopping. And that's all from me. Thank you.